Okay, so I have a confession to make. My relationship with beauty has been an immense struggle. Actually, I'm not sure it's a secret. I think a lot of us undergo this struggle. I can go out for lunch and then I'll hear a lot of comments on what I should be eating, must be eating, put on my face, not put on my face, that I can leave a meal very, very confused. And it does something really deep down inside until I stopped it all. And I said, okay, I want to know how to have a better relationship with my beauty. I want to walk into my bathroom and not see all these products staring at me that I actually don't really believe in or use. And that's why I reached out to Dr. Terry. Now, she offers a really fresh perspective on not science, but merging the science and the spiritual side of beauty. Now, let me reframe the word spiritual. It's not this woo out there, clean your chakra stuff out. That's not my vibe. But it's about having an understanding and knowing what works for you to go past those doubts and into building a healthy relationship with yourself, because we all change in different stages of our lives. I look forward to hearing what your version is after this conversation. Enjoy this week's episode. And by the way, you will need to make notes because Dr. Terry leaves a lot of tips and insights that you want to sit back and reflect on afterwards.
The spiritual side of skin health and the science and the spiritual side, really, what skin health means and how what's the word? I'm trying to say it in a nice way, basically. Yeah, in a way, the practice of skin health is an ability to come back to self, really, without the fluff, without, almost coming back to the spiritual side of it, really, and I think it's, again, people are worried, or it's so easy to think of, okay, what products I need, what I need to do, and that's still doing. It's a lot of doing this rather than being, really, so I kind of want to talk more on that element, really, so it's a practice, really.
I think that's very interesting that you're saying that, actually. Doing versus being with your skincare health.
Yeah.
What does that really mean? That for me, you have me baffled. I'll tell you why. Doing versus being. I grew up and my mom was a very big advocate of don't put stuff on your face.
Oh, okay. So very minimal.
Very minimal.
Minimal, yeah.
If you don't wear makeup until you're 18, I've got a good checkbox, but she didn't allow us to wear that.
Okay.
Even facials and everything, we didn't do it until we were in our 18s. When it came to moisturizer, you want to guess what kind of moisturizer we had to use?
What? Pond's? Did you use Pond's?
Exactly. That's all we were allowed to use was Pond's. It was that's it. Until today, she swears by Pond's. She's like, that's the best product on the planet. Yeah. And then I go into college, and then I get friends, and they all of a sudden have I have just a bottle of Pond's in my room. And then there's next to my friends, and they're move over, and I need half of your shelf as well. Yeah. All these products.
Yeah.
And I'm just I had fear. I was fear of missing out.
It's interesting. Yeah. It's weird, isn't it? It's kind of missing out and also envy, thinking, oh, am I not doing something that I should be doing? And especially you see, the girls or the women, I think in college, they're kind of, women already. And if they look so beautiful, if they look flawless, and they think, oh, maybe I should be doing that, to look like that, really. So it's still doing. So it's not, it's interesting because it's kind of the whole accepting the skin, I don't know. It's a weird thing though, because I'm going to say, oh, just accept your skin, but it doesn't mean not do anything. It's kind of okay, it's weight. I accept my weight, but doesn't mean not doing anything, really. But then maybe it's the energy when you're using it, really. So rather than depending on it, that you're using it because it's part of you.
I think I think there's so many layers to it when it comes to skin woman. And that's why I think I really wanted to speak to you, because when I first heard you speak, and you were talking about aesthetics and what you were going through, you didn't take it about like women have a problem. You were like, why are you actually doing this? And I like that part.
Yeah.
And now when you're talking about the doing and the being here, I do ask myself, why did I start using products? Because I ended up using a lot of products, realizing that I didn't like any of them, and then I stopped. Okay, I didn't go back to cons. I went back to something else. And then I went on to this whole spiritual binge also. But even in the spiritual or the holistic way of doing it, there's so many products now. You don't know what is for you and what isn't for you.
Yeah.
You know? So I find myself more confused than ever. And so I stick to like, okay, this is where I need to be for my skin type. So break it down for me. What does being in wellness, skincare?
I like what you're saying. Let's use you for an example, like you're saying, really, because like beginning, okay, like you use minimum. And after that, we think that, I need a lot of products to, I don't know, get rid of pigmentation, lines and wrinkles, redness, all that kind of stuff. And then you buy lots of like more medical grade products, let's say, for example, or very science-based, strong ingredients, active ingredients, go to the doctors, write a prescription, bang, very strong. And then you find it's too much, like, whoa, it's just too stimulated, it's overstimulated. Same thing, you overstimulated, you need to like decompress, let go, just instead of doing. Then sometimes we go to the other spectrum, like just go holistic, look at completely look at ingredients, look at the no parabens, no fragrance, nothing at all. So almost like when you want to make your own products, what you put on your face, you can eat. So it's gone to the other extreme. And then that also can be quite stressful because you're so worried of even touching a product on your skin. Really, it's similar to like when when we're eating, when there's a term called orthorexia, when it's the fear of healthy foods, like almost like it's not fear of healthy foods, but like you're so scared of eating because you need to make sure it's healthy or it's good for you. So it's becoming an extreme. So I think the process of being with your skincare, you have actually come the other side in a way that, you're bouncing back and forth, too strong or too holistic or too natural. And then you find what works for you, because either side of that spectrum, you are being told what to believe in. Really.
But then you stop trusting yourself, right?
This is it, really. But I think this is important. I think in any, it's not just skincare, anything really, whether it's our job or the food we eat, and the exercise we do, we will bounce from each side of the other because there are experts, there are signs, and to tell us, okay, what's good, what's not good for us. And then it's experimentation. So, okay, that's, maybe the two active ingredients, for me, I went through a season, I love that. Or that's all I use, and then to a point then it became too strong for me, and I just but if I didn't take the, 10 steps protocol, I would feel bad. I will feel bad at myself. So, I'm missing out. I'm not doing good enough if I'm not completing it, basically, or if I didn't do the 10, that's why I broke out, or that's why my skin is like this, or that's why I look older than I am. So I always need to do. Then, if we go onto the other side, the flip side, doing all natural. And yes, natural, like I said, I love that as well. And I love the smell. I love the feel of it. I love what it stands for. And again, I know I like the science part as well. You can blend the both, really. You can blend. And so I've now found a happy medium where I sit, really, But I think everybody going through their journey of skincare, journey of finding what is self-care for them look like, they will have to experiment, really, And sometimes, like you said, like fitness, self-care, sometimes it feels like so much that you have to tick the box. I need to do my breathing. I need to meditate. I need to journal. I need to make sure. Yeah. Sorry, say that?
I find it heavy.
Yeah, it is heavy. Yeah, it is heavy because again, that is people telling you what you should be doing to feel well. So then then you have to experiment with it, explore it, and see whether is this actually making me feel better. And if it's not, okay, then question why, and then question, okay, is there another layer that is missed? And maybe this is not for me. But why isn't it for me? I find that exploring that, digging deeper into the why we do things, why we do what we do, why do we purchase products, why some people have to buy lots of products, different products at different times. Oh, it's a sale, let's buy this, let's try this. So you never complete the routine or the product. Maybe is it because you don't trust the product, or you don't trust yourself to complete the routine? So that's a question that you ask yourself.
I have a very interesting question. You said something super relevant, like you go from one extreme, you go to another extreme, and we explore in between.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't finish the product.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot tell you how many times I've done that.
So why? Why don't you finish the product?
That's a good question. I don't believe in the product anymore.
Yeah.
It becomes either too much of a hassle if I have to put 4 products on my face.
Mm-hmm.
And it also does something, I think, deep down inside, like I'm not good enough. Is that possible?
Yeah. If that's what you feel, definitely.
I mean, why do people, I'm asking myself, okay, why do I quit these products? And I don't feel they work. And I spent a lot of money at that, and I would go, why did I buy it?
Okay, yes. Some products, yeah, definitely may not work, and then you're just paying for the brand or paying for the smell, paying for the experience. And then you buy something else, and usually people buy, or this is what I've noticed anyway, whether friends or patients, they will buy when they notice their skin is not happy, so if their skin is happy, it's kind of boring. If you like, there's nothing to fix. Basically, there's nothing to, like your hands are like itchy. It's like, I need to fix something, but maybe your skin is just okay, happy, so why do you need to change products, really? So then you get I don't know, you get a ping, especially if you're on Instagram. There's a lot of pings, adverts, really, get this product, or the eye circles, you need it, or the neck mask, you sleep with it, and your neck's so good, So sometimes you might not think there's a problem, but then you see all these adverts and you think you have a problem, and then you buy it. You buy it because I think I need that, really. But this is like, but do you really need that? So sometimes I like to so this is what I do now, because when the talk that you came to watch me, because I was to do research and just look, and as I was researching, I get all these adverts for products come up, really. And so this is what I do. I open it in the external browser and just leave it. I explore it, but then I just leave it there for like 2-3 days, and then actually don't feel the need to knee-jerk reaction. Oh, let's buy this now, So I'll leave it there 2-3 days, don't look at it, and then I'll come back and say, do I really need that? Or I'll make the decision when I'm grounded rather than, in the heightened, and never buy anything at nighttime, really. At nighttime,
buy it when you're grounded.
Buy it when you're grounded, buy it when you're feeling good, don't buy it when you are at nighttime, when you're tired, when you're stressed, and you just feel that you need to distract yourself, you feel that you need to find something to, like say, find something to fix, really, because whether you're not happy with your job, your relationship, or something that's why I don't believe in getting those big magnifying glasses to look in your face and start squeezing everything out. It's very tempting. It's really nice. But then it's like, you will start looking for every flaw you have.
Okay, Terry, I'm going to go backwards a little now.
All right, go.
Are you ready? First, I think everyone needs to know why you actually got into beauty, because you have a story to share. that's one.
Okay.
And the second one that I'm going to have is ultimately, I would like to know is that women already struggle with so much about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So, do we actually need all these products? So, the first one is let's get down to it.
Okay. Why did I got into beauty?
Why did you get into it?
Oh, I think yeah, I know I got into beauty two reasons really. First was for my late mom. So my mom, she suffered from really bad from acne, eczema, psoriasis. She had 5 kids, so stretch marks galore, varicose veins galore, really, and I remember going to medical school. My mum would tell her friends, the family, she was really proud of me going to medical school. She's that when I become a doctor, I'm going to help her with her skin, all that really. And so, but then of course my mum passed away 3 weeks of me starting university. So that never happened. That never happened for me to help her. And going to medical school, when I went into after graduating, I did geriatric hospital in the shadowing, and then just realized, when we are older, things happen when we get older. We just, we look old, but then we feel old. All that kind of like deteriorate, really, and a part of me felt that I wanted to do something to help women. Because after my mom passed away, I found out from my aunts, my mom's sisters, that she was really conscious about her skin, and she was worried that my dad would leave her, and so that really made me unhappy, of course, because my mom and dad, when I grew up, they were very vocal when they were arguing, if you like, so I grew up in. Sometimes walking on eggshells when I was growing up, really, because there was so much arguments. And so, how children start thinking of things and deduction or why things happen. And so I felt that, if my mom felt more confident in herself, it would have changed maybe her relationship with me, as a mother and daughter, so yeah, making me choke up. So that's kind of like what made me go into, first of all, aesthetics, anti-aging. It wasn't beauty as such, because I think beauty is quite a big word. It encompasses a lot of things.
Yeah.
People kind of talk about hair, makeup. Fashion is also part of beauty, really, lots of things. And so that was the first reason I went into it, thinking, okay, I can help women so that if they feel confident in themselves, they would change their relationship with their children. So it was kind of like, and it was in a way looking out for another version of me as a little person, as a little kid, really, a little girl, in when starting out. And then after that, as I was working in aesthetics, I was speaking to patients, women. I would spend like an hour with them when they came to see me. They're worried about a wrinkle, but as you talk to them, a lot of things uncovered. They're not worried about a wrinkle. They're worried about, they're worried about them not matter, them, losing their value, as they grow older.
Yeah.
The children growing up. So it's like, what's next? Really, it's a big, so their identity go all around with their children. So it becomes the different layers. And so I was then looking at, skincare, because for my skin as well. So because of my mom's acne, so I kind of inherited her skin, very acne prone. And so when I was writing my book, The Hormonal Acne Solution, I can't remember, there was one, I'm not sure when, but I remember I was in the shower, and as the water was running down on my body and I could see my skin, it was the first time I could actually see her and feel her, and I just cried. It's almost like, oh my God, it's like, thanking her for taking care of me, for just being there for me, no matter bad days or good days. She was there. She was protecting me. So that's kind of like what got me into beauty, if you can call it beauty as in a big umbrella.
It's quite a big subject, at least for me. I know I associate beauty with weight, and it's funny that you're talking, because I remember getting different products thrown at me for that. It's not just facial stuff. It was more like slimming creams and that creams and that and it wasn't even from my mom really embraced me. My mom was it was like, she never went off like, you need to lose weight, or made me feel. She was like, we can do something because it makes you uncomfortable.
Yep.
And I really respect her for that. But my family members, which was really interesting, especially the male members, they would always make a comment about, you're not beautiful because you're fat.
Yeah, so you associate the two. Yeah.
That, and then at the same time, it was like, but you would be even more beautiful when you lose weight because you're white-skinned. So it was like so much revolved around growing up, in that sense that your beauty is so tied in to how your life is going to look.
Yes.
Based on that. Absolutely. And I think we talk about it, but we don't talk about it in this uncomfortable way.
Yeah, because it's like really like part of our upbringing, and all those little small remarks, which now we think of it, it's nothing. But for a child, it's huge, So I think when I was growing up as well, I mean, I love the sun, and I used to swim a lot. So I was very dark, very dark. If you look at all my old pictures, people always think of because Malaysia, it's a Muslim country. So people always question, so am I Malay? Because I was so like chocolate, like really dark chocolate, because I just love the sun. And so again, you got all those whitening treatments, whitening clinics, huge in Asia. So I think when 12, 13 years old, I was a chubby kid, and my aunts would used to poke on my tummy and say, you're putting on weight. And, I mean, you're a kid. You're a kid. You're meant to have chubbiness around you. That's normal, And so, like 12 and 13, I had a mild eating disorder, really. Bulimia, and I was taking slimming tablets, slimming teas, and going to bed. We crumple up in pain because you were hungry. You have laxative because you're trying to purge out the fat, all that kind of stuff.
But that also affects your skin.
It affects it, absolutely. It affects your skin. You see, so we think what we do is one thing, but then later on, as we're studying more the relationship between our skin, our gut, and our brain, each of them, they all interlink, really. So all that, it would have caused me to have nutrient deficiency, so that would affect the skin, and so it's a one whole cycle. So I think it's the beauty thing is that people always think like, okay, how you look, because like you said, you equate fairness, healthy skin is you're healthy. If you got blemished skin or uneven skin or looking older, you're not healthy. So again, it's the equation, what you think is beautiful and what you think that means, really.
So you know how I've been about my subtitles about menopause period.
Yes.
You laugh, and I'm like, all right, this is what has been happening. I remember the moment I woke up and my knees started to ache. And then I go down the menopause research. Mm-hmm. And now when people say, oh, it's just coming out, I think there's so much information out there that I'm also getting lost in it, because there's like, you got to take for collagen.
Yes.
You got to take vitamin B12. You got to take magnesium. You got to take this. Everything is being thrown at you. Mm-hmm. And then I'm wondering, and sometimes I'm like, does this actually work? Mm-hmm. Then you go to the creams, right? Then there's like creams for mature skin and creams for this and creams for that. And I feel like all of a sudden, my little island head of mine who loves just ponds and I don't have time for all of that.
Yep.
So for me, you're telling that for me is the doing that you're talking about.
Yes.
So how do I go to just being all this noise?
I love it.
It is.
I know. So because that, like you say, that's a very surface area in terms of, okay, let's, you have a problem, let's plaster it with some supplements, some prescriptions, some skincare. You're looking at the surface, really. So we need to deeper down and find out, number one, say, first of all, are you eating enough? First of all, just general, are you eating enough? Are you eating enough nutrition, nutrient dense food? Are you eating enough protein? Are you absorbing it? So talk about that first before you even think about supplements.
Yeah, but Terry, even that, it's like you have to take chia seeds, then you have to take 2 bananas or 1 banana. You got to take this. And I'm like, oh my God.
I know.
In the morning, I'm like, I'm stressed out by my
yes, and that's not good. That's not
tell
good.
me, island life, how do I
Island life, I love it. I love the
it's
island
my
life.
island- It's my
I
island.
love the island. Okay, think about island life. Okay, island life, right? It's like you wake up with the sun. Yeah, there's no alarm clock, so you're not rushed. Okay, there is space around you. You're walking on the sand. It's grounded. There's a lot of leaves, a lot of fresh oxygen, forest medicine, and it's just your cortisol is very low because everything's just very slow paced. Island living is kind of like everything's fresh food you're eating, and you're moving and you're exercising, but it's not like force, because you're walking everywhere, or you're cycling, or maybe you need to, I don't know, chop wood, catch fish, all that kinds. Those are movement. Those is, you're using your body, and it's a lot of again, almost like, just being. You're living. Really, those people, you probably eat oysters. Oysters is very nutrient dense, oysters, sardines, seafood. Those are really nutrient dense, are really high in protein. Okay, so all that, so you don't really, so people say, oh, you need flax seeds, you need chia seed. Number one, maybe they're not walking enough, okay, or they're not getting enough fiber, so they're not actually opening their bowels enough. So for those, they may need that as an additional thing. So again, kind of like looking at what is your lifestyle, number one, and what led you to the lifestyle you have now, really,
Okay, so what led you to the lifestyle now? Well, mine would be terrible, but all right. I mean, I ate everything I wanted to.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, that's a good question, though. Everything from all your yesterdays add up to today, in other words.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what if you have a lot of regrets from yesterday? How do you change that? Do you then get onto these chia seeds, flax seeds,
Okay, so regret is I guess guilt is a natural human. It's not even a human emotion. It's not even emotion, really.
I've seen that a lot with clients, though.
I know, but it's like the regret and guilt is almost a set of It's a set of rules that we feel that we should have done or not done, if you like. So we impose those rules on ourselves. Yeah, we impose those rules on ourselves based on what we've either conditioned to live up to, our experience, or anything like that, really, so regret and guilt. So, and then that's where the level of shame comes in, really, because guilt and shame normally comes quite hand in hand. Yeah. So we can't change the past, as we know, so I think it's good to look at the past for clues. Look at the past as clues to look at what made you do that. It must be a reason. It could be a coping mechanism, or it's something maybe you weren't aware of it. And, why weren't you aware of it? Is it because you were so busy, so rushed that you were just trying to, firefight, really? So instead of feeling regret, guilt, look at it for clues. And I feel even before looking at that, maybe, like you said, you go through the regret, the guilt, and the shame. And then it's almost the grieving part. You have to grieve that past of yours that you've done, really, and almost be compassionate for your younger self. You did the best you could for what you knew, for, the strength that you had, for whatever reason, that season of your life.
Yeah.
So then you can start looking at, okay, if you're ready to look at what has led you to here, then you can start investigating, being aware. So I love in a way precision medicine. They call it precision medicine, kind of looking at what is happening with you now.
Really. Is that what they call it? Precision medicine?
They call it precision medicine, So instead of a blank slate of everybody getting the same nutrition, everybody getting the same supplements, we look at testing to check, okay, what's your gut doing? Maybe looking at your blood test, what micronutrients you're maybe deficient at. So they call it precision medicine, really, So then you look at what you are now. So then you're aware. So again, that you're coming in from a lens of like an observer. Okay, so that's the past, everything that's done, finding clues that led you to now. So This is what is happening now. And then what can we do to improve it, really? Or I think improve it is a not such a good word, because improve it is saying there's one is bad and one is good.
I think of it as restoring almost.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, restoring.
You're restoring the areas of regret means there's lacking, right? So you're restoring it back.
Yeah, I like that. Restoring it it's almost like, say, coming back to yourself, coming back to your home, coming back, your home is where you live in, and before you may not have taken care of it to the best that you wanted to, whether that because you were rushing in and out, you didn't know, so now you need to know which plumbing needs to change, which duvets need to change, that kind of thing, really. So you need to know what's going on. And then if you want to move forward, then you can add different steps, because again, it's to move forward or to do any change, we need to be a different person to make that change, or for that change to last.
Yeah.
Really, so
you have to change something.
Yeah, you have to change something. So we have to change, I would say, change in small steps, really, rather than doing all one, because so when I see my patients, I always give them like either skin or hormone enhancing, I don't know, kind of lifestyle tips, really, So I give them a list, but I always tell them, just pick 2 a week to try and start, and then see, because when it starts becoming a part of you, then you can add on another one. Because
totally agree with you on that.
Because if you add too many, it's just overwhelming. There's extra things to do. It's just too stressful.
It's so Befriend Your Mind, which is what I started, the first book I had written. And everybody's like, what is it about? And I said, well, it's 59 ways to to look at your mind before you meditate. And I wanted it bite-sized. I wanted it practical. So when I listen to what you're saying, I'm like, oh my gosh, she's befriending the minds of people on hormones and skincare.
Yes.
It's exactly that. You are telling them, don't do this big list. Because I felt overwhelmed. I feel very overwhelmed when somebody tells me, you need to journal, you need to meditate, you need to do this. And I'm like, whoa, this is just not. By the time I actually start doing work, I'm exhausted by this is just.
I know.
But what you're saying is the same thing, like just 1 or 2 steps till it normalizes.
Yeah.
And you add one up. It makes, to me, it's like, oh my God.
Absolutely. Because it becomes a part, like it's a habit, it becomes a part of you, and then you become this new person, this new woman that maybe meditates, if that's what you want to do. I mean, for me, I did meditate at one point, but I know I'm not a meditating type, basically. Yeah. I meditate in the gym. That's my meditation. That's,
totally makes sense.
Yeah. So everyone is very different. So it doesn't mean like you sit there is right for you, so there's no wrong or right. It's just what floats your boat.
Okay, so can I tippy toe around something else?
Of course, tippy toe.
The word vegetarian.
Okay.
And food.
Okay.
The reason I'm tippy toeing around is because everybody says it'll be better skincare, it's better health if you don't. I remember going to the doctor telling me you need to eat meat because you're iron deficient, your deficiencies are down. And it is affecting, because I had like massively dark eyes underneath here. So it's one of my telltale signs when my iron is low. And then if I tell somebody, I eat meat, and I get the look like you're committing this biggest crime ever. How do I go about that? How do we go about not having to take all these powders also, because they'll be like, there's this substitute for a powder, this powder you need to take, this collagen powder. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
break that down for me, please.
I know. I mean, I've had patients who are vegetarian, and I had patients who were vegetarian and then moved to pescatarian. You know, so I have had both. So I mean, give an example for patients who are vegetarian. Yes, they are. They're normally deficient because they're not eating enough, especially if they are also doing weights, doing more activity in the gym. Yes, so they're trying to lose weight. They are. So again, is their body in wear and tear versus rest and repair? So for like one of my patients, I had to ask her, so what is your, why do you want to be a vegetarian? Why are you a vegetarian? So again, is that why, you know, what is it to them really, you know? So if that is if their reason and it's unshakable and, you know, they want to keep it, then fine, then we'll find ways to increase your intake, whether that's protein, whether it's iron, you know, and by doing that, you do need to eat, you do need to take supplements, because the amount of food that you have to top up your protein, it's a lot. So they also need to understand that and accept that, really. And if they're okay with it, that's fine, really. You know, I think it's the whole thing. So, you know, I don't eat that much because I'm a vegetarian, you know, so I can't. So it's kind of like, you're putting what you believe in, saying that I can't do it because I'm this. Does it make sense? You know, so again, so I also, again, like I got patients who maybe they're vegetarian and they bleed a lot. So they're very iron deficient, and then so they need to top up. So I put them on supplements or iron supplements, and then we can be checked, really. And again, we need to look at why is she bleeding so heavily. So then we look at what can we do to, number one, increase absorption, but then number two, are you taking enough intake? And number three, can we reduce the loss? You know, why are you so heavy? Is there something, is there a hormone balance that we need to figure out? You know, is it very stressed, or is it the way you're eating, or maybe not enough sleep, and that kind of stuff, really. So it's not just like add the supplements and that's it. Well, let's look at why are you deficient in the first place? Yes, it could be intake, but it could be absorption, it could be loss as well.
So you really demystifying it. So no matter what I chuck on my face, no matter what I chuck in my body, artificially, it's not going to work other than this. In a way, it makes sense. The precision medicine into it, or the precision health, I would say, even further than that.
Absolutely, precision health.
Precision health. But then I asked myself, okay, I know the industry is just pumped with telling us quick and easy ways to get out of it, but change is really hard. And then there's another layer, which is something like precision health actually feels expensive.
Yeah.
How can it become not so expensive?
Yeah, I think I feel the industry is moving towards making it more accessible and more affordable, really. You know, I mean, that's where the education comes in terms of what I guess what healthy is in terms and in general, because I feel now these days, like you said, people want to know what's going on. I mean, I wear a Fitbit, you know, but I Fitbit because I want to see whether I get my steps in, 10,000 steps, and how much I sleep. That's it. I don't look at my heart. I don't look at my heart rate. I don't like how I breathe. I don't look at any of that, really. You know, so it can be quite overwhelming because I'm like, I'm looking at the stats, you know. So
anxious.
It is quite anxious, yeah. But some people might feel they need that to motivate them. You know, again, that's kind of like, I feel that also takes out the what's the word called? The responsibility, if you like, you know, because the app will tell you, are you ready for the day? Ready? Are you how, you know, whether combining your sleep, combining your energy, your oxygen, to saying that how ready you are for the day. So again, it's kind of like, you don't need an app to tell you that. You kind of know. But then again, because we have given our
It's almost like
human.
I think for me, the word that comes to my mind is trust. You take away my trust with myself, and I've now placed it into this little machine.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I do have a gripe with it. I'm glad I'm not there yet, because Apple, for example, doesn't do very good tracking with the menopause.
No.
I'm okay. I'm not flagging them. I'm like, you just keep doing you. I'll keep trusting me.
That's true.
But yeah, I think the word, I know you said the word responsibility.
No, I think it's trust. But then again,
But there's something to be said of the word responsibility.
yeah, because it's responsibility is the ability to respond, but it's kind of taking your responsibility of yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, really responsible of your emotions, responsible of like when you sleep, because we're adults. We're adults, really. For a kid, it's very different. But when we become adults, then we need to take responsibility of our actions, of our decisions, whether there's right or wrong decisions. Again, we have to take responsibility and then figure out, like, if it's the wrong decision, what led us to make that wrong decision.
So you do need to look at your past for whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
To change forward.
Absolutely. And again, that is not easy to do, as you said.
Well, no, because I keep going back to this, how we started. You're like, it's about being rather than doing. And I feel right now it sounds like it's almost always just doing to do.
Correct.
So once you take away responsibility, you take away the trust with yourself, you now just switch off and you start doing.
Yeah, you become you're automated. You're becoming,
Yeah, you're automated in yourself. Do you find that you get a lot of, I'm tempted to ask you which is the most bizarre case, but I'm not allowed to, so I'm holding off on that one.
What is it?
Because that's a typical question you ask in an interview, like, what's the most bizarre case you ever heard? But no.
Oh,
I actually want to ask you, what's the most recent patterns you see, especially if it's related with social media? Is there a pattern that you get?
You mean a pattern of what I see on social media in terms of beauty?
People are so influenced by what social media is out there that they come to you asking for changes because of what they said.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they do. Yeah. So they will ask me what I think about maybe this supplement or this treatment because they've seen it around. With treatments, I'm always mindful, saying that, okay, look at how old this person is first. In terms of if she looks very young and she's having all these anti-aging treatments that she needed in the first place, she looks really good already. So she looks just like it's not a true representation. Again, supplements. Again, I'm always wary because it's saying that you just don't. You can't look at. They say the improvement, but you don't know the persons that having the improvement, what their sleep is like, what their gut is like. Maybe they already got all that sorted. And then they added this, maybe it's got better, or maybe they're nothing, and then add this and it just got better even, just the tipping point because it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
Really, so I'm very conscious about all this quick fix gimmick stuff.
And what do you think about the AI now stepping into the beauty phase?
It's scary. Yeah, it's scary because then you're creating another level of a feeling which is almost impossible to reach.
Such as?
Looking so perfect. Really looking so perfect. Not just the face, but also the body as well. You don't know whether the influencers are AI generated. You don't know. If they say it is, then yeah.
I'm very curious about the word perfect and AI and filters, because I know the recent conversations like AI is going to be part of our lives. Get used to it. And then I go, okay, but if we have such an unhealthy relationship with ourselves, and now we're giving responsibility over to a machine like AI, and for a woman, her way of seeing life of beauty has always been defined through the lens of a masculine person. So when I see these filters, I'm like, that's a version of perfect by whom? By which gender?
Yeah.
So I am concerned about it. And then when I go, you see online what filtering is doing. And I see people with the Botoxing and the changing and the tuckings and all of that. I thought it would have gone down with all the introductions of all this wellness, but it seems it hasn't.
No, because now people are combining the two. Really, you can have longevity, and then you still, because people want to feel good and still look good at the end of the day. So people, I have had, and I've seen people in the wellness space. Let's say they're yoga teachers, and they have Botox treatments, but then they say that, oh, this is all natural skincare.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't agree with, because then you're not being transparent. I feel that you should be transparent, and again, be okay, because your audience are looking to you to say what is true, really.
I mean, there are parts of me I would love to do just Botox, only because there's some lines I just don't like for me.
It's fine. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I always tell my patients, and I tell my audience as well, it's like, your lines it's almost like stories of your life. You choose what stories to tell and which you choose not to tell, really. So it's up to you whether you want to get rid of the line. It's up to you. And I love how we have so much more advances now to actually improve that.
I think so. And what I liked about, so when I met you and you spoke about doing all these Botoxes and everything in a way that is, do it for you.
Mm-hmm.
But don't take away what you really are.
Yeah.
I remember the conversation.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then I asked myself, what is the line? How do you know where to draw the line on that? Because I remember I got totally freaked out, and I remember asking about this lady wants to look like Angelina Jolie, and I was like, she doesn't look like it, but she just looks so unhealthy, and it saddened me. And then you were like, yeah, but that's what she chooses for. So what does the fine line mean? And is there such a thing as fine line between the two?
Yeah, there is. Again, beauty is a perception, isn't it? I always say beauty is the eye of the beholder. So is what is deemed beautiful to one person, might be strange to another. So it's not really, and there will always be someone or practitioner who will do the treatments. And usually, if you have more money, doesn't mean you have better taste. Again, basically, So I think that's where the responsibility of the practitioner comes in so important. Because when they build a relationship with a patient, then they need to, you do tell the patient that, okay, that's enough. I don't think you need any more, because, some patients do have problems called body dysmorphic disorders, that the perception is out of proportion of what they actually see. So there are problems, and that's a psychological problem,
Did you ever have those moments where you had to say no?
Oh yeah, I've had patients who say no before. I just felt that I couldn't deliver what they were looking for, and unfortunately, they will always find somebody who will do the treatment still.
Yeah, that part I get. Yeah. So what is it that if I had to walk away, right? I'd say, okay, or the audience had to walk away. And they were like me with not wanting to put 2 hours into the self-care. What are the go-tos that you would say? If you can have like a 5 principle, what would your 5 principles be?
God, I mean,
maybe 5 is a lot, but
3. Yeah, I would. I think the 3 I would say: eat well, rest well, love well. So definitely eat enough nutrient-dense food at the right time, balancing your sugar so that you're reducing inflammation. That all really helps your skin, your health. Eating well. Rest well is very important. Never underestimate sleep. It's so important. If you got bad sleep, your whole day is crummy. You're not going to make as good a decision for yourself as you would if you could not sleep. Really, and not just sleeping, but making sure you're resting throughout the day as well. That's important. And loving well is not a romantic love, but it's a more of a loving what you do, your life, your I don't know, loving yourself. Yes, I think that takes time. Loving yourself takes time.
Yeah.
It just takes time, because I think the first thing to do is maybe start liking yourself first. You're learning to like yourself, because I think it's a bit extreme saying I want to love myself, but it's extreme if you've never loved yourself. So,
I went to the word when I was really down in the dumps. I remember the word that pulled me through was learning to appreciate myself.
yeah,
I
I like
couldn't
that.
deal with grateful. It was just too much of a cliche. And loving was a little bit too romantically for me.
Yes, yeah.
And appreciation was allowing myself the permission to acknowledge the
I like
things
that.
that I did achieve in life.
Yeah.
So I went to appreciation.
I like that.
And that while you were saying something, it hit me. We spoke about it from a woman's perspective. I've never asked you about a man's perspective on beauty. Is there such a thing?
I think man's perspective on beauty in terms of like on themselves, or
First on themselves, yes.
yeah, I think on self. Yeah, I think especially now with social media growing, the rise of metro men, especially like even in the aesthetic industry now, there is a big boom of male treatments. So on 10% of treatments are males.
Okay.
And with males, they're a bit different, because with females, they like to do little and often, and they don't want people to know. But men, they want to see more drastic changes. So they have, the same way how they spend as well. Men, they spend big amounts, big chunks.
Really?
Yeah. So with men, if they have treatments, they want to look more masculine. That's what they want to look more, get more chiseled chin, more stronger, sharper jawlines, making maybe look less tired, but also because like the workforce, the older generation, they are competing with the younger generation, so they need to look more rested. Not younger. They don't look more younger. They
never knew that.
Yeah, they need to look more rested and need to look that they can still do the job and not tired. Does that make sense? So their reasons are different, really.
But that means so it still comes back to how much your professional life has an influence on the way you look for both men.
Yeah, true. That's true, because I do have also women in their late 40s, 50s, and them being let go after being in the company for so long, and then they have to get back into the job market, and they need to compete with younger people. So they need to look, they tell me the words presentable, they need to look like they are healthy, young. They don't always tell me young, but they need to look younger, at least younger than what their age gives away.
Hence, eat, rest, and love, then.
Yeah, I say eat well, rest well, love well.
So I know that the professional world is going towards looking at the younger generation, and indeed that between the 40 to the 60-year-olds, there's almost like a gap, like forgotten in the whole narrative of what happens to them when the job losses hit.
Yes,
it does hit them. So do you see an increase now, or has it always been consistent on the increase?
I think there's an increase now, really, because it's just the job market has changed. A lot of it has been what's the word called? Moved to different countries. Again, maybe AI given a job. So there's a lot more people are fighting for jobs, really. So it's all changing now.
But it's sad how much the looks still matter for that.
It is still
confusing.
It is still really,
So no products. Lesson on the products. Lesson on the chia and the flax seeds. How can people become more into their precision? Is there anything that you can offer that says anything? Is there something you can offer that says this is how you can become more precise, that you don't need all these things? Because there's also that fear, right?
Yeah.
Say you have to eat well, rest well, and love well.
Yeah.
For me, if I think eat well, I'm going to be like, okay, chia seeds.
I love it.
Means, right? And rest well means 8 hours, no, maybe 9 hours.
If you can. I know.
You'll always have the ones who go to the opposite side. So what is it? How do you learn to trust yourself when all of this is being thrown at you? What would you say? Other than eat, rest, and love.
Yeah. I think a good thing to do is tracking, because I always find numbers don't lie. So, like, for example, food, if you're able to track what you eat, how you're feeling, how much you're eating. I mean, if you're able to, there are apps that can do food tracking just to see whether you're eating enough calories, eating enough fiber, eating enough protein. So part of it is also learning about nutrition, because then you need to know what you're doing now first before you change anything. Know what you're doing now and then decide, is it still serving you? Really? Because if it's not serving you, if, like, say, for example, you're still feeling tired, or you have stubborn weight, and you got family history of heart diseases, you want to lose it for the health reasons, then either learn or work with somebody who knows what to do, so they cut out the learning part. That makes sense. Yeah.
And in terms of products for the face, like, I like a good moisturizer.
Yeah, moisturizer is good. Yeah, because at the moment, I mean, I'm doing the holistic skin reset, so on Instagram, LinkedIn as well. But yeah, I always tell my patients, like, just pare it down. You just simple cleanser, a serum to hydrate, moisturizer, sunscreen. Really, if you want to just keep it really simple first, and then because while you're eating more protein, your skin will be better. While you are you can do a blood test. You're able to as well do a full comprehensive blood test. A really good one is called Every Woman from Randox Health.
Every Woman?
Every Woman is from Randox Health. It's really good because within a year you can repeat the blood test, so you get 2 blood tests for the price of one. Really,
And we need to put this link in.
Yeah.
You're also doing something else as well, aren't you, with products? Because you're a skincare expert.
Yeah, I'm a skincare expert. I mean, I'm consultancy with some skincare brands, really, so.
So we need more information about that one. But so, good moisturizer. Tell me, which one would you use?
So good moisturizer, I would like to say, if you've got more mature skin, your skin's very dry, very dehydrated, or you live in a place with central heating or even air conditioning, so that's going to dry your skin. So, yeah, air conditioning dry your skin a lot, and central heating.
Right there.
Yeah, very dry, So all those, so the cleanser you use, is better to have a very gentle, creamy cleanser rather than a exfoliating, foaming cleanser, because all that would dry out your skin. And then you can use the hyaluronic acid as a serum to add on, and then the moisturizer. So the moisturizer depends on whether you like a light or a thicker version. I like anything that's calming. So the organic farming is really nice because it's a blend of natural organics and also very science-based as well. QV skincare is also really nice. It's really good for sensitive skin. Then after that, at nighttime, if you want, you can use rosehip oil. That's really nice. Rosehip oil. Rosehip oil is very high in vitamin C and vitamin A. So
God, you just got a tick in my mom's box. She'll love you for that.
I know. I love rosehip oil. I use rosehip oil, so I use it as after my moisturizer, so to seal everything in.
Oh, I never knew that.
Yeah, so because people always go to retinol, right? Retinol is vitamin A. So rosehip oil is vitamin A.
So are you going to have a list for us soon?
Yeah. I'll send you a list.
Really
I'll send you a list.
You make me smile because I'm laughing. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to tell Terry about my whole, skincare.
It's fine. I'm very simple.
Well, I like it because you told me you helped me you help me understand exfoliation. Some people tell you to exfoliate and everything. You told me, no, it's not good because it does indeed. It dries out the body. And I noticed a big change when you hit into your 40s and 50s. Mm-hmm. That oiliness that you had in 30s and 20s is just not there.
No.
And I'm like only at the beginning stage of it. Mm-hmm. And I also, one thing I find talking to you tapped into is, how do you understand your belief system? Does culture play a big role in that?
Big, huge, and definitely. I think as we are growing up, that belief system will be tested, and I think if there's any inclination of questioning whether any time that we're questioning or we're doubtful or there's resistance, any of that feeling, then it's almost like I would question it. I would even go deeper. It's like, why am I feeling this way? Is it from something from my childhood, or whose belief is it? Because again, we don't even know whether that's our belief, or maybe somebody's that's imposed it on us, So I think it's good to, I mean, if we're able to do it on our own, then it's great. If we journal, that really helps. Almost like you journal like you're talking to yourself. Like one is like talking, I think this is it. And then almost tapping into like a wiser part of you, say, is this really my belief? Where is it coming from? So one is coming from the observer and the other one is like what you're feeling now. And so I think it's exploring. Yeah, I think growing up or growing older, I think it's great. This perimenopause time, it's really great. I know it's scary.
Love it.
I know it's scary as hell. Number one, I think it's scary because people have to face themselves. We have to face ourselves. We have to face ourselves and all the things that no longer serves us. It will come to the surface for us to look at it, and then we can suppress it. That's fine. We can suppress it all we want, but it will still come knocking at your door. Really.
Like I said, I like the fact when the estrogen started going down, so did the filter from my mouth started going down. I'm like, my face will be like, yeah, no, this is not what I'm doing now. And before, I would never be like that. I'd be like, I'm like, yeah, no. No excuse. But I agree with you. When you hit into perimenopause and menopause, there is a shift that happens. I'm finding I'm around a lot of conversations where women in their 37, 38 are almost stressing about it now that they're in perimenopause. But I never stressed about it as much, probably because my mom never really spoke about it. Is there a way, I guess, that this doesn't need to be stressful about the perimenopause? Is there something you can do? Because I see people actually increasing their intake of buying all these products. Because you're anxious about the perimenopause. Is there any advice you can offer them?
I think we get anxious when we feel out of control, right? We feel out of control and we don't know what is about to happen. So I think first is educate yourself on what could happen. Okay, what could happen doesn't mean that it will happen, but what could happen. So what could happen, then then think about what you are doing now. Will it still support you in that new season going through perimenopause? And then you can decide or work with somebody to help you to prepare yourself for the change, because you can move through the change. I feel everybody will move through the change with some hiccups, it will do. We cannot control everything. It's like the weather. We can't control it, but we can prepare for it. We can prepare what clothes to wear. We can check the weather forecast, decide, the roads that we're going to take. We can prepare as much as we can. And again, we will face it. And I think the best way to do is learn how to handle our emotions. So again, that's going back our past, really looking at our past. And I feel like you said 30s or the later 30s, we're not at that stage where we want to look, because that time our career is growing. Maybe it's our peak. It's our peak. We're supposed to be like the time that we reached our epitome of what, the traditional a woman should have: the career, or maybe have a husband, and then maybe start being a kid, or not being a kid, being a mum. So all that, you've got other things to worry about. You're not starting to look inside of you. So in a way, perimenopause is always like put like a hard brake. So like, okay, you need to stop doing what you do. You can't continue like this. And then you have to come back to you, really. So if you're able to, if you're your late 30s and you're watching this, if you're able to work with somebody, either a therapist or a hormone coach or something like that, to just prepare you. It's not, you don't have to do everything in one go, but you can do little things, really, so that when the time comes, there is less of a bump, really, so you're not going to be drenched, soaked, in the rain, but at least it might be a bit wet. It's
Yeah.
fine, really.
So
Nothing that you can't handle.
So going back to that, so you're in your 30s, and then I also find that there's a big cultural influence there. You're maybe being pressurized that you're not married yet.
Yes.
Because some of that happens when the career is hitting. But also with that stress, the hormones go out of whack. And I remember, and I wanted you to share this today, so I'm coming back to this. When we spoke, I told you I had hit a burnout when I was 39. And I had hit that factor where I thought, I'm not going to get married, kids, everything blew up in my face. And you told me that there are 3 forms of fatigue. And I thought that was so useful, and I wish I had known it back then.
Yeah.
And you said maybe it wasn't burnout you had, but you had this type of an exhaustion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Based on the hormones that you were just talking about, what are the 3 types of fatigue that we could be aware of also if perimenopause is the factor here?
Okay. So the hormones that we're talking about is the stress hormone cortisol. So we need our cortisol. It's definitely needed because it modulates our inflammation, it regulates our blood sugar, and it also wakes us up in the morning. So it keeps us awake and doing things. Okay, it pumps blood into our brain, into our muscles. But when we have consistently high cortisol, that's when problems can arise. It can disrupt our sleep. It can cause more wear and tear, like I said. It can cause more fat deposition. And also it can reduce our calming hormone, which I call it the progesterone. So progesterone is needed for fertility, but when you have too much cortisol, your body is in fight and flight, in survival mode. It's like a warrior. When you're in warrior mode, you are not thinking about nesting, having a baby. Your body's not thinking about that really. So the first stage of fatigue is what we call wired but tired. You're the stage 1. You're tired, but you're very wired. You still go really. So this is almost like you feel like you have a second wind of energy, that you tired throughout the day, but at nighttime it's like, whoa, I'm still awake and I can't sleep. So you start doing work at nighttime. So that's when you're wired and tired, and you can potentially want to do the burning, ends of
both sick
and ends really, So, and then after that, you can have the second stage where you are starting to get even more tired, really, but you're still pushing, really, So it's your adrenals, which is the gland above your kidneys, that's the one that's produced your cortisol. So, like you say, pump, but after a while, it gets really tired, and then after that, then it starts to drop, and then the third stage when it's like you can't produce anymore. So this is when you can't get out of bed. So the middle stage is where you're tired, but you can still function with coffee, really, But the third stage, you can't get out of bed. You drink coffee, it doesn't do anything as well. You're just getting a headache. This is when your body almost shuts down, really. You dissociate from your body. You get problems with your immunity. You get sick a lot. This is very common. Your muscle starts aching. Maybe people with fibromyalgia, you get autoimmune problems. Usually they flare up when you have no cortisol, because like I said, cortisol, you need it it's like it gives you a boost really of your energy. So if you have nothing, your body is just wiped out, really burnt out.
And this is for both man and woman.
Both men and women, yeah. Both men and women, yeah. But women are more sensitive. Women are really sensitive because, number one, women are very sensitive to like carbohydrates as well. So if you think about, of course, women, we fast then we exercise more. So there's a lot of extra stress on us. We add extra stress on our bodies. Men,
so we don't need to add it?
No, we don't need to add it. Like I said, yes, we don't need to add it because why are we adding extra stress? Because number one, like you said, we have the cultural pressures of needing to get a job, needing to get a husband, the kids, and then we still need to lose weight. So we try to starve ourselves to get into the weight, and then we exercise a lot more. So all these are adding extra stress on our system. And then we work like a man. And as you know, men and women work very differently. And depending on the time of the month, we will respond differently to the types of tasks that we do as well, really, depending on our hormones. Our skin changes throughout the month as well. Did you know that?
Our skin changes throughout the month?
Yeah, if you're cycling, your skin changes throughout the month because your hormones changes.
Well, I'm glad somebody's mentioning because I thought it was just between my ears. Really to think about it. I have one question. You said, okay, so you get to those 3 levels.
Mm-hmm.
I heard recently, well, let me start with this one. Is it possible to reverse a burnout? Oh, okay.
No, it's possible. It just takes a long time. Takes a long time, basically. Yeah, it takes a very, very long. Yeah, sometimes it can take a year or so, really, because your body just shuts down, really. So it's almost teaching your body to function again.
Emotional numbness, weight gain,
Yeah.
being in your 50s or 60s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Family maybe is traumatized. They're going through a lot family-wise. It looks like a burnout. On average, if a burnout recovery, does it take longer if you're in your 50s, 60s than if you were, let's say, in your 30s or 20s? Or
Yes, definitely. Yeah, when you're older, you're just less reserves when you're older. So when you're older, you have less reserves. So you need to really do an overhaul of your lifestyle and what you do, really. Because apart from cortisol, your estrogen is also anti-inflammatory. So when
it is an anti-inflammatory.
It's anti-inflammatory as well. So when we don't have our estrogen, that's going to affect it as well.
So then that comes on to HRT. Must everybody take HRT?
I think HRT is one of those things that the science shows nothing else will replace hormones except HRT. Yeah, you can take all the supplements, you can take all the herbs. It will support the symptoms, but it will never replace your hormones. Okay, so it will never increase it. So estrogen, let's not talk HRT. So estrogen has been research show it will prevent heart disease, it will prevent dementia, it will prevent osteoporosis. Now, all that your lifestyle also will contribute that, can also prevent that. Okay, it's just that adding estrogen onto it will add an extra layer of protection.
So it's just protection. It doesn't mean it will. It's preventive or
prevention and protection. Really, again, depending on when you take it, because if you take it much later in your life, then your window of prevention might be less than somebody who takes it earlier.
Do you think it's a must? Because there's a very, it's like a controversy still, no matter what.
Yeah, must is a strong word, and medicine. It's not black and white. It's never a must, really. We always weigh the benefit to the risk, really. Majority of women will benefit from it because of the research shows, but again, we need to weigh out the risk and benefits to it.
So would someone who's had a burnout, would they be able to recover quicker with the HRT or not?
That's a good question. I don't think there's any, I doubt there's any research on it, really. I feel it would definitely help. I've had patients who were close to, they felt like burnout, really. Yeah. They really felt like burnout, and they couldn't get out. They couldn't walk. It hurts everywhere. And then once we worked together, and then, plus HRT, then they were able to sleep better. They were able to move, then exercise. So their trajectory of recovery was better. But again, it's because their sleep was improved. So it helped with the recovery. But if your sleep is disrupted, it's going to be very difficult to recover. So I feel the HRT will help recovery from burnout, but it's not a direct improvement. It supports other elements, which then contributes to the whole recovery.
So it goes back to this beingness that you're saying. So no matter, nutrition can be one part of it, crucial part of it. Resting, relaxing is a crucial part of
Hormones,
it.
Yeah.
And one of it is learning to really love yourself or appreciate yourself. To me, it sounds like you have to understand how to trust yourself. And like you said, trust and responsibility. Those are the two keys
Yeah.
that keep coming back into this conversation that I feel. I learned a lot, but now I also just broke my like happy zone, because I thought I was taking hummus for the right reason, because I was told hummus is really good.
No, hummus is good. Hummus is very good. I feel like it's, it's interesting because, like I say, when we're going through perimenopause, menopause, naturally we will put on weight, because in the olden days they didn't have HRT, right? In the olden days, but so naturally women will put on weight because fat cells produce estrogen. Fat cells produce estrogen, so our body is trying to compensate what we are losing, okay, by creating that fat. But then, I have patients as well, when they go on HRT, they say, "Oh, I feel I'm putting on weight. I'm retaining water." But I always have to remind them, it's like, you're not. You are so used to being shriveled like a raisin. But then you add estrogen, you're just plumping up your fat cells. Is juicing up like you're putting raisin in the water and it plumps like a grape. Really, you're just your breast is going to feel fuller just because you're plumping up as how you were before. You're not getting fat.
I'm already plump as it is. We're shriveling in my plump. So it is okay. But estrogen, is it a must? I mean, I'm like on the fence with HRT, right? It's like a love-hate. I don't know if you must see people like me. People like me.
I do.
And they go, HRT, do I have to take it? For me, it's like, do I have to stay on this for life? Is there alternatives to this, or?
Not at the moment, at least.
But even if you're let's say you eat healthy, you relax enough, because I do relax a lot, and you eat enough, you relax enough, you are also in appreciation enough. Would you still need HRT?
For me, personally, I would. For me, because it helps me, because I'm just restoring what I had before. Really, So again, hormones. I think probably the fourth element, because we say the eat, the rest, the love part. So the fourth element will be the hormones, because hormones, it makes the world go round. It affects.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying no to that.
Yeah, so hormones. If we can do everything we can to balance and optimize it, I would definitely recommend to. And again, this is a balance. It's a balancing act. It's an equilibrium thing. Really, so I feel like if you can take all the supplements you want, but you will not give you maybe the sleep you would if you HRT for it, if it's disrupted by the hormones.
But I think they should make HRT like a must and not pay so much for it. It should be like part of life.
Well, I think they're trying. No, I wouldn't say trying to, but there are scopes of medicine or practitioners that they do. We advocate for it because it's healthy. It's towards longevity with HRT. But again, it's weighing between, some people may not be suitable. So you have to weigh out the pros and cons. Yeah, pros and cons. So all my patients, that's why I always say, get your blood test. If you can, get an ultrasound scan, smear test. So again, that's kind of taking care of yourself, because you are finding out what's going on with yourself and not putting your head in the sand.
Well, the conclusion I'm coming from this conversation is, rather than making more products for my face, right, save the money and just do more of these tests once a year and save yourself a lot more. Long term, it saves you a lot more, because you're doing blood tests bi-yearly.
Yes.
A hormone. It's not really, I still had to ask my GP for a hormone test. Yeah.
Hormones are not really, again, the hormones, depending on what hormones you're checking and whether it will change the management, really. So the blood test which you do, Randolph Health, it does cover hormones as well. So that's really helpful, because the hormones, you've got your estrogen, your progesterone. So that's the womanly hormone, but your thyroid is another one. That's your metabolism. That's very important. Your energy, your weight, your moods. So that is thyroid. And estrogen and thyroid are very closely linked together as well. So usually when you drop your estrogen, your thyroid will be affected. You get hypothyroidism. So that's when your energy goes, your weight increase, you get problems with your gut, or your skin gets very dry with your thyroid as well. So
yeah, I've had bouts of those. The weight gain for me came on started coming on in the perimenopause, but now, yeah. Because I feel like I'm in a late stage perimenopause, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I do believe in the lifestyle. But when I went to my doctors and I had to really tell them I want a test, and they were very dismissive about it. I was like, how can you, why are you so dismissive about it?
Yeah, I know.
So yeah, it's very insightful. But I learned a lot today.
I'm glad.
I did. How it affects our lives, how culture affects it, how everything in a way comes together, and learning to trust yourself.
Yeah, it
And
is. And the only way to trust ourselves is actually to make peace with every part of ourselves.
Okay. Do it for you, as long as it doesn't take away from you. For me, that sentence just encompasses everything. Get all the information, experiment and explore it, but remember, it's about being well, loving well. What does that mean for you? I'm curious to know what is your takeaway from this week's conversation. Do leave it in the comments. And of course, if you know this is going to help somebody out there, I'd appreciate it if you share it into your networks. You never know who can listen to this and get a lot of value from it. Because when it comes down to stuff like beauty and how we are seen, we don't really talk about it. And a podcast can actually support someone just by listening to it. Together, we share the wisdom of these guests and impact others for the good and for their better, joyful living. So be sure to share it. Have a good one. Looking forward to sharing the next one with you. Take care.